response. Justin, when I do that to Jason, he says, I'm busy doing the last thing you asked me to do. Hi, friends, in the sanctuary and online. We have had a wonderful, exciting morning so far at Morningstar, and we are not done yet. We are not done yet. We have Nellie Trujillo here for parables. Nellie, I'm really excited. I'm really excited that you're here. I'm excited that we're going to have this conversation. I think I've been wanting to talk to you in parables for a while. I mentioned it like last year, and you kind of laughed it off. And so I said, what about March the 10th? And she said, yes. So it never hurts to ask a second time, right?
I had a weak moment.
You had a weak moment. Oh, that's okay. Justin, could you turn Nellie's on as well? Okay, then just.
Yeah? No? It's not on. Huh?
It doesn't have a wide range. You got to put it right there in front of your mouth.
Is that better now?
I think it's on. It's just not.
Purse is on.
It's not putting it out a lot.
Okay.
There we go. Okay, and they're saying my mic is a little hot. That's what the crowd is saying. My mic is a little hot. Okay, Nellie.
Yes.
Let's start with where you grew up. Describe your childhood for us, please.
Okay. Well, first of all, I was born in Switzerland, born and raised. And Switzerland is not in Sweden, okay? Nor Swaziland. So I just want to clear that up because Mr. Stewart always tells me that I'm from Sweden. So I hope he's listening. Switzerland is very neutral and it's not belonging to the EU, has their own laws, and is independent laws and from any Western or Eastern organization. And it's, in middle of Europe. It's not up north, it's near Italy, Austria, Germany, and France. Okay, does that make sense?
That's actually very helpful, thank you.
Yeah. And then, guess what? Switzerland is not only popular for their cows and cowbells, alphorns, yodeling, cheese, chocolate, watches, but also the Swiss invented Velcro. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
We old people. Velcro, hello. So you say if you're more mature, say thank you to the Swiss. So
my kids are grateful to the Swiss for the Velcro.
Okay, anyway, I was born in a little village, and it's called Weinfelden. But then my parents moved, and they went to the town where my mother grew up, and my dad found a job nearby. And the little town is in the northwest of Switzerland, near the Rhine, and the biggest city nearby is Basel. But we grew up in this little town, my brother and I, and it's like 1,000 people, and there was not much going on. You just entertained yourself. In those days, which was in the 40s, we just entertained ourselves. And we had not much toys, no electronics. We had no phone, no TV, no car, no fridge. And in the winter, we had ice flowers on our window because we only had one big heater in the house. In the middle of the house, it was a 3-story, and in the middle story, that was the living area. And that was important, that you were warm during the day. At night, well, you just went under the duvet or feather bed, as some people call it, those big things, and you were just fine. And you just sucked it up. And then we also had to suck it up because we only got to bathe once a week because water was precious. And what else? Well,
How many
yeah.
siblings? How many siblings?
How many what?
Siblings?
Oh, I had a brother. He's older than me. And then I had a second brother, which was also older than me. I was the youngest. And my second brother, Alex was his name. He had a bad brain tumor, and he passed away with 3.5. So I came later, so I didn't really know him. I was only like 1.5 years old, so I have no recollection of him. And my other brother is 3 years older than me, and he still lives in Switzerland and is active biking, and even though he's in his 80s. You know, biking, you grow up with a bike. We had no transportation except for the train, a bus, by foot or by bicycle.
Yeah.
And the little village I grew up in had only one schoolhouse with 4 big rooms, and we went to school for 8 years, and we were done because we went all the way round the year to school. We only got vacation like a week over the holidays,
Okay.
Easter, Christmas, and then in summer we got actually a whole month off.
Nice.
Yeah, and well, anyway, so we cramped that all in there, and our school days were like 7 to 8 hours long, and in between we went home on foot to eat lunch and came back for the afternoon schooling.
Nice. Okay.
So it was very rigid.
It sounds fascinating, Nellie. So we have a limited amount of time, so we have to
I know.
skip something. So I want to hear more. Can you tell us? We want to hear about your family with Jim. So can you tell us how you met and also how you ended up in the United States?
Okay. I have to reach back here. In school, I was always fascinated with foreign countries for some reason, or not only in school, but I had a cousin which was an exchange student on a farm, what do you call that, agriculture, and he came to the United States. And then he came back and said to his brother, hey, we gotta go back, this is really cool. And my other cousin was a reporter, and so he went with him, and he reported in the newspaper every other week about their trip in the United States. I was still in high school, and I was so fascinated that I said to my mom and dad, and I am going to America. And they all just laughed, and everybody else was laughing. They think I was a little nutty, because I was kind of a wild child anyway, because after school, because the wild child is right there. My dad didn't think I should be learning a profession of anything because I'm going to get married anyway and have children. That's just wasted time. Well, I showed him differently. And and he said, never marry a foreigner or a Catholic because we grew up Protestant. Well, guess what I did?
You married a Catholic foreigner.
Exactly. And my mother said, a girl doesn't do these things. Well, I went to do these things, such as travel. I went to England to learn English because that's the only way I could come to the United States, knowing the language. And she says, no girl goes alone to the United States. That was in the 70s. And I said, well, I got my visa, and I went. And anyway, but it took a year before I got my visa because they're very picky about who can go. And I guess I got lucky, or maybe I was so rambunctious they want to get rid of me. So also my parents thought maybe we can straighten her out, and by sending her to a finishing school, which I did, go to a finishing school. It was all girls. It was in a, like with not nuns, but sisters, Protestant. I grew up Protestant. And my whole village was Protestant. And so I went to that whole year to that girls' school, and it was known as the girls' boot camp. That was the nickname.
Girls boot camp.
Huh?
A boot camp. They
Yeah,
they
like
called
a
it a boot camp.
Yeah, a boot camp.
Okay.
because they were so strict.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, they were. And anyway, they thought that will straighten me out.
Did it?
Well, it didn't last long. My mother once in a while would say, if you don't behave, I'm going to send you back. But it was also sort of, the people, when they could afford to send you to a finishing school, it was sort of like a status thing. My cousins went, so I had nothing to say, so I had to go too, because, hey, we can afford it too. So there I went, and it was very strict, and sometimes I kicked up my heels, and I almost got myself out of there because I refused to do certain things, because I didn't think it made sense. And I was in that office quite a few times. And I was always threatened, if you don't behave, we're going to send you your parents that letter. And I thought, no, I can't bring shame up to my family. So I straightened out. Anyway, I think I was very opinionated about certain things. Surprise, surprise. And so anyway, but when I did my apprenticeship, that was for 3 years to be a hairdresser, I had to have 3 years an apprenticeship so I could get the Swiss diploma. If you have the Swiss national diploma, that's when you were allowed to go and work in a foreign country. You could go to a 9-month thing, just a quick school, but they wouldn't give you a visa. So I was glad I went to that 3-year apprenticeship. 4 days were in a salon, working in a salon, and 1 day was in school where we learned the technical stuff about chemicals and all kind of stuff, and hair and skin and what have you. And another half day we had to go to we'll call that. We had science study, bookkeeping, how to run a business and all that stuff. Nice. Yeah. And then, okay, that's how I got my visa, because I had all these, I had to say that, my credentials.
Right. That's how you
and
got
I
over
had
here.
to work 2 years after that, so I had 5 years in all. Okay. And I worked 2 years in tourist towns. That's how you learn a lot of experience you get there, because you get so many different people from different countries, and that even reinforced my thing that I want to go to the United States. In school, I also had to have a report about a country, and of course I chose the United States, and my dad was not too happy because I cut his sweet, you see, I have holes all over this book because I could not find any pictures about the United States, so I cut this book apart. It's a encyclopedia. And they had pictures in there about the United States, like,
like
New York
bigger cities.
And, the Liberty, Statue of Liberty, and stuff like that.
And you have the book. I love it.
Can you believe? He was a little mad. Whatever. So this was actually written in God only knows, 40, it's almost 100 years old. I still have it. So
that's so cool.
Yeah. So he wasn't too happy because he was looking up words and couldn't find them because they were in my report on the backside of my Statue of Liberty, So,
oh, it's so good, Nellie. It's so good. Okay, so
anyway,
you get to the United States.
Yeah, now I got to the United States, right? Because I applied for a visa, and I had a sponsor.
Okay.
And it took a year to get all the papers together, and I came to Kansas City, Missouri. And when I went to I had to swear to the American flag in Switzerland. I had to go to the embassy.
Right.
And the guy which swore me in was from Texas. Well, I spoke my Queen English from England.
Right.
I had no clue what he said because he... But I just agreed to everything and swore to the flag. And then he said, what are you going to do in Kansas City anyway? And I said, well, I'm a hairdresser. I got a job. I was very serious. I mean, I was shaking in my booties because I want to go so bad. And then he said, well, are you going to style some Indian feathers in Kansas City? You know, things like that.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
And I
Nice.
said, no, I have a job in a salon. I was very serious. And then he
Yes.
realized how serious I was. But that was in the 70s. So,
Yeah,
you know. But anyway, you run into different people.
it's very true.
So I came to United States, worked for that guy in Kansas City. And you wonder how I met that guy back there.
Yeah, Jim back there.
Yeah. We went to a singles dance. I went to a singles dance, and there he was. And it turned out that actually he was working not too far away from where I worked,
Okay.
just down the street in a Jesuit high school teaching Spanish.
Okay.
And it turned out that the guy's parents, the mothers, and I did hair. I did their hair. So they knew Jim before me.
Oh, interesting.
And when they were wondering, well, who are you engaged to? They said, oh, that's a good choice. So I knew I did, I was fine. So on our wedding, instead of my parents were not too happy about the whole thing, of course. And but they were very impressed because I have to say, Jim actually said once, what is your dad's, attitude about you would marry a foreigner or marry anyway? I said, well, he said once, that was many years ago, well, I hope he has the decency to ask for your hand. Well, nobody did that anymore in the 70s, but Jim did it. He wrote a letter in English and
That's so sweet,
told
Jim.
them all about what he'd done in life, where he grew up, blah, 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 his education, blah, blah, blah. And my dad thought, whoa, he was very impressed. He couldn't read it, though, because he didn't speak English. But my sister-in-law, thank God, knew English and translated the whole thing. And he said, if a guy has the decency, even so he's foreign and Catholic, to write a letter like that, I think it's a good thing. And then one time I said something, and he said, well, I had to say yes anyway, because knowing you would have done it anyway.
That's probably true, though, right?
That's right. So they didn't come to the wedding, but I had a whole half part of the church was my clientele.
Oh,
And I had a lot of mothers, and the one lady said, you had a lot of mothers crying for you standing up front
Nellie.
there.
That's just
And that was
beautiful.
really great. And on my husband's side were all the teachers from school, and but his sister came and an aunt, and but that was it.
I can picture it. That's so beautiful. So how many years have you been married now?
Okay, guess what? 50 years this August.
Oh, yay.
And they thought it would never last.
and
We showed them different.
2 children? You have 2?
Okay, we got 2 boys. We're really, really happy that we got 2 boys because the doctors thought we never would have children. And hey, what do the doctors know? We have 2 boys, Trent and Tate. Trent is living in Denver with his wife, Molly, and 3 children, 3 grandchildren. And the other one, the younger one, kind of inherited my rambunctious life or personality.
Yeah.
And he went to be a Marine, which was good. You see, I went to the finishing school. We sent him into the Marines. So we're even again. And he got married, and he has 2 girls. So I have 5 grandchildren.
Oh, Nellie, I love the way that you tell stories. I'm not going to take a lot of time here. I just want to say,
know.
on a personal note, I have 3 kids, as you all know, and there are days when I am really struggling with whether I'm being a good mom or not. And Nellie has always been so supportive and gracious to me, telling me that we will get through it and that my kids are wonderful and, that parenting is hard, but we grow through it, right?
Oh yes,
We
oh
grow
yes.
through it.
Because the first one, he was so easy. He was no problem. And then came the second. I thought, oh, I got that. It was a surprise. And Jim said, how did that happen? Because again, the doctor said, you are lucky you have one child.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, well, it happened. And I thought, oh, I got that. Well, guess again. He was a rambunctious second.
Every child is different, right?
I think somebody paid me back.
Yes. Yeah, that's what I get told too.
He was something else, let me tell you. I think it kept me going 100 miles an hour because that's what he did.
Oh,
yeah.
I love hearing your stories, and I love hearing about your relationship with your kids now as adults. So we're getting close on time. I want to switch to the church really quick because you've been involved in so many different things. I know you're involved in the food pantry. You were involved with the clothing area when we had that as part of the food pantry. You're in the choir. So what do you love most about Morning Star?
I think Morning Star I love because they are involved. They are not just a church which you go on Sunday. I think it's a church which goes through the whole week, and it's just very fulfilling. Sometimes I almost feel selfish because I feel so much better once I volunteer. And I also volunteer at Tutti Bambini, the secondhand store for children downtown with Sister,
Beth. Yeah.
Beth.
It's a great store.
I know. I knew that. I only been there 10 years. You know that lady.
It's a great
the feisty
store.
lady, and she and I get along just fine. I wonder why. She always calls me the crazy foreigner.
So I know you have more stories to tell. I think we're going to have Nellie back because there's more. There's more. But for now, do you have any questions or comments? Yes, Carol, and I'll repeat them. Yep.
I thought there were 4 languages in Switzerland. Which was your native language?
What is your native language?
My native language was German, Swiss German, and that's an example for like the German we learned at school. And then the Swiss German we spoke, it's like a dialect. For instance, when I say I'm going home, it's in High German, which we learned in school, is Ich gehe nach Hause. Very, direct. But in Swiss, it's Ich gehe heim. So, who knows?
Nice.
And my husband is trying to learn German for I don't know how many years. But he said it's too complicated
It's a
because he
difficult
gets
language.
mixed up with the German, with the High German and the Swiss.
Janet.
That's right.
Oh, Silent Night in German. Nellie, that's a great
And
idea.
I also sang, what's the other one? Es ist ein Rosensprungen? Yeah.
Oh, that's my favorite. Oh,
Yeah,
lo,
in
how
German.
a rose are blooming.
Yeah.
I love that
Yeah.
song for
Right.
Advent.
And by the way, Switzerland has 4 languages. Yeah. It's German, French, Italian, and Romansch.
Oh, wow.
And Jim calls it romantisch, which means romantic.
Oh, I love it.
I don't
love it.
speak that one. I'm sorry.
Margaret?
I have a comment and a question, but the question really is for Jim. You said that you met Jim at a singles dance.
Right.
I didn't know you danced. Do you dance?
Well, he danced on my toes.
So the question was, does Jim
But
dance?
everything else just clicked. Except the dancing, we were just slow dancing, so you don't have to do any fancy steps.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's so sweet. The question was, does Jim dance? And Nellie said, on her toes. That's really good. Anything else from the group? Yes.
Yes. My husband grew up Catholic, very much Catholic. He went to a Catholic college.
It's a great question. She's wondering how you
okay.
got back to the United Methodist Church.
Okay. First of all, yes, I did, what do you call that?
You converted, yeah.
Yeah, because I felt I was way far away from home, and I wanted to be in the same church, and if I have children, we want to be one unit, not one here and one there. And since his Catholic was so strong, you know, I thought, well, I can try that. I have to admit, I wasn't always in agreement when I had to go to catechism, or whatever it's called, because they thought in those days it was about time that I came to the Catholic Church, or else I would go to hell. And that didn't sit right with me, as you can think. Can you imagine? I had a few things to say. So I'm sorry if anybody, you know, is very into being Catholic, but it's just one of those things which I felt that's not right because I got taught differently. And I told him, too, that we had to be good all week long, not only on Sunday, because we couldn't go to confession.
That's right.
And I never went to confession. But they said if I don't go to confession, I can't be Catholic. That was in the 70s in the Midwest.
Yeah.
But there was a young priest there, and he pulled me aside, and he said, Nellie, don't worry. And he was understandable about my views and everything. And he said, instead of confession, we can make a little, counseling session.
Oh.
And so on my day off, I went to his office, and we talked for about 2 hours. And he said, I will tell the old priest that you came to confession.
Oh, that's really great.
So that was I was very impressed, and you can tell already that then the new Catholic priests turned on a corner, or
Yeah.
were more understanding than from the old-fashioned, chop suey. So anyway.
So last question, how did you get to Morning Star then?
Okay, I was church shopping when I came here, and the first people I met was the farmers, and they introduced me to this church. But I was church shopping around, and then for some reason, I always came back here because I knew they had volunteering things, because in Denver, I was volunteering all the time they had a mega church there. But that's another story, how I got to that. But anyway, so Betty Farmer said, I went to other churches, but nobody has any outreach programs. So she says, well, come with me. We're going to sort clothes. And that's how I started. And then I came to church.
Oh, I love that. Oh,
And it's
good.
all the farmers' fault.
We're grateful to the farmers.
Yeah. And they were the first ones to come and visit us when we moved here. And brought us a beautiful flower and welcomed us to the neighborhood.
Oh, I love it.
And
Nellie.
that's how they were our first friends.
Well, we're glad Nellie and Jim are here, aren't we? Let's give Nellie a round of applause.
Thank you, guys.
This was
for
so
listening.
fun. It was so fun this morning.
The what? What did you say, Steve?
He said he can't wait until it's a
yeah.
Netflix series.
Yeah,
That's right.
you bet.
Well,
or a book comes out soon.
We'll have parables again next week, and church will start in 14 minutes. Thank you all so much.
Bye. Thank you for listening.